she rolling. Jumping that blue like the ocean. Already knew I was chosen. I just be grinding, stay focused. Man, this shit don't know reloaded. I had to stop talking to show.
What's good, everyone? I hope you're doing amazing. I hope you're all doing good. Today I want to discuss a very important concept that we tend to gloss over sometimes, but is of paramount importance, okay? And that idea is, do you know where you are in a given market or in a given environment? Do you know exactly where you are when you're about to trade? And that's the idea that we're exploring today. So let's get into it. We naturally know the idea of market structure. And what is that? Market structure is basically this over here, okay? We come from a low and we get to a high. Then we retrace, okay? And after we do that, we break this over here. We break this structure and we form a high. So now we have a range. This right here is range. And guess what? We have yet another retracement. And from this retracement, we would potentially expect another break or structure here. And then we possibly form a new high and then a retracement once more. Okay? And where would we be going? We'd possibly be targeting these highs over here. I hope that makes sense. That's basic, simple market structure. So, when this happens, we obviously know that naturally we're in an uptrend, right? The overarching momentum is that of an uptrend. But in some situations, some people get confused because they refuse to give this downtrend or this retracement the respect that it deserves. Okay? Look, this is how I see it. This movement over here going up, this would be kin to us living in a country, okay? This is the country, and we're going somewhere with our intention over here. But you see these little movements down here? These are the households within the country. These are the people within the country. This is the family holding the structure of the country. So naturally, we also have to give importance to these individual households. Yeah, sure, you might be the president of a country, but you cannot walk into my home and disrespect me. So we must also get to a point where we actually appreciate the structure that is happening over here. And what are we seeing over here? We notice that price is retracing down, basically giving us the signatures that we noticed in the overarching move. What do I mean by this? We started up, we retrace, and then we break structure, we retrace. We come back up, we break structure, we retrace, right? Same formula. Let's go down to a 4-hour to actually show us how this is going. Right? We see it. Break, retracement into a premium. That's the other thing about retracement setups. When it comes to retracement setups, we always want to see price retesting the premium zones. Since we're going down, we would want it to get into a premium, and we would also like it to grab liquidity. So we see that's what happens. We break structure, we retrace into a premium. Okay, that's well and good. What happens again? We break structure, we retrace. Okay, this time around, we don't really get into a premium, but we still make sure to grab liquidity. Once that is said and done, It's the same formula. We break structure, we retrace, and we grab liquidity. And the cycle basically continues. Okay? Now, the individual households are super important. However, we also cannot forget that we're in a country. So we still have to follow the country's code. And what's the country's code telling us around this time? Okay? What we're basically seeing is we have gotten into a discounted zone over here. We have entered the discount of this range. And what happens is we notice that price is now starting to slow down. Did you notice that before we got to a discount, price was actually moving down with strength? You see that? However, when we came into the discount, we started slowing down. Okay? We started slowing down. And if we get into a 4-hour, we can see that quite clearly. Right? See, we broke structure. Yes, we broke structure from here, but it was of lesser intensity. Okay? And then from there on, we noticed that things started changing. Right? And let's get into that idea real quick. Right? So let's go back to a daily. What was happening here and why was I interested in this? So we have already established that we're in a discounted zone of the bigger range. And now price has slowed down. And what do I see over here? I see my trusted setup, the setup that I love the most, which is known as the silver bullet. So what's the silver bullet? We have the first candle that gets printed here. Second candle gets printed and must close within the first candle's range. And what we look to do is we look to use the third candle to target the highs or the fourth candle to target the highs. I hope that makes sense. So right now, we happen to be on a 1 hour. And what we basically want to see is we want to see signatures that confirm to us that the structure has shifted or momentum is shifting towards the upside. And what do we look to see? First things first, of course, we realize that liquidity was grabbed, like I already explained, on the daily time frame. But then we want to go on to a 1 hour and see what's actually happening. So over here, we notice that there's a 1 hour break of structure. And once that happens, we want to see a retracement, right? A retracement into a discounted zone. Retracement into a discounted zone. And what we also want to see within this same discounted zone is to see a grab of liquidity. And over here, we notice there was a grab of liquidity. There was an entry into discount and a grab of liquidity. And what do we want to see after that? We want to see confirmation that indeed price is ready to go up. So over here, we see that we had a 1 hour fair value gap, right? And price entered, and then we noticed that it started breaking with energy, right? If we get into a 15 minutes to see more information, you would see that we entered this fair value gap and we retraced, okay? We retraced into somewhat of a discount. Not really sure if it went down into a discounted zone completely. Oh yeah, it did. It did get into a discount, but then it also grabbed liquidity. And what happened after that was we started breaking this 1 hour swing, right? This is a 1 hour swing and we broke it with energy, okay? Once this gets broken, you can enter right there. Boom. With your stop loss right below this low, and you can target a nice 1 to 2. Right? Get your 1 to 2 and win at life. So it's basically the idea that I wanted to discuss today. It's nothing too complicated. It's just about having an awareness of where we are in price. And with that awareness, you can take more calculated decisions and avoid losing unnecessarily.